when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu, we're speaking about someone who's the subject of an international criminal court arrest warrant. And he's the subject of this arrest warrant for alleged crimes against humanity, for war crimes, and he's the architect of the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza as Israel's prime minister. These are not facts of my personal assessment, they are facts of public record. And I believe that when someone is charged with an international criminal court warrant, it's something that should be taken seriously, whether it's Benjamin Netanyahu or it's Vladimir Putin or whomever else.
All right, well, John Fetterman, who, by the way, in case you forgot, is still a senator, he had some words for New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani regarding Mamdani's expressed interest in having Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrested should he ever touch down in New York. Netanyahu is expected to be in New York in September. So the Democratic Senator, John Fetterman, he had this to say about Mamdani. He said, well, he's such a tough guy to say that kind of thing. He has no way to do that. Of course, obviously, America's not even part of that corrupt court. And he said that to Maria Bartiromo on Fox News. And when he said the corrupt court, he was talking about the International Criminal Court, the ICC, in The Hague, okay? That's what he's talking about. Right now, the Democratic Party, as well as the Republicans, have positioned themselves as anti the ICC. When you're on the other side of The Hague, you're probably on the wrong side of history. I think that's just like generally an okay statement for me to make, okay? So the ICC has issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. They did this back in 2024 for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in Palestine. I don't need to give you the details on all that because this audience knows exactly why this arrest warrant has been out for him. Of course, these allegations, Netanyahu has denied them. He said they're not doing any kind of genocide. He's saying they're being so nice to the Palestinian people in Gaza. They're doing everything they can to just, prevent genocide from happening to the Israeli people because of October 7th. That's what he's saying, okay? So back when Mamdani was on the campaign trail, this did come up. Mamdani has himself accused Netanyahu and the IDF of committing genocide in Gaza. And while he was running for mayor, he said that if it came to it, if Netanyahu or someone like Putin was ever in New York City while he was mayor, he would perhaps order the NYPD to arrest them per the ICC warrant. So in response, Netanyahu called him a terrorist. So unoriginal, okay? And he said, I think the problem is that he doesn't recognize and he doesn't care that those who hate the Jews and Israel ultimately hate America. Untrue, just these people live in loony land. It's just not the case, okay? More recently though, Netanyahu has said that the only reason Mamdani is even talking about this is because he is trying to distract from his own failed policies in New York. Failed policies where? I don't know, I don't see them. So this is what they said though. In a statement, the prime minister's office called the ICC, which issued the arrest warrant for Netanyahu in 2024, a kangaroo court that has no jurisdiction over Americans or Israelis, and they accuse Mamdani of seeking to distract the public from his own failed policies. The ICC's bogus arrest warrant against Prime Minister Netanyahu was issued by a disgraced former ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, a few days before allegations of sexual misconduct against him became public. And he continued, it was a clear attempt by Khan to divert public attention and seek protection from scrutiny. So Bibi's office said that they were doing their best to minimize harm to civilians while taking out Hamas after that. And they said more, they said instead of backing Khan's criminal behavior, Mr. Mamdani should focus on fixing the damage his policies have caused in New York. Like Karim Khan, Mamdani appears interested in diverting public attention from his follies and attacking the leader of the Jewish state and the only democracy in the Middle East. It said of the ICC chief prosecutor who filed the charges against Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. So what's interesting is they didn't bother to cite any of Mamdani's actually failed policies because I don't think he's even been in office long enough to have had any. Like there would not have been enough time for him to have implemented some kind of policy and then we all watched it fail. Like these things take time, okay? So it's just pointless. It's just a dumb racist argument. They call him like whatever. So there are questions as to whether or not Mamdani, as a mayor, even has the authority to make such an arrest. The ICC, as I said, does not have jurisdiction in the United States. And also New York Governor Kathy Hochul, as well as some legal experts, have said that Mamdani does not have the power to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. And of course, Donald Trump has stepped in to defend his friend, Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump says that Netanyahu will not be arrested when he visits New York in September. And by the way, before I get to you, Oz, I just want to remind people the reason why Netanyahu is expected to come to New York City in September is he's coming to attend a United Nations General Assembly. This man is coming to the UN General Assembly. Just let that sink in. Waz, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that the people who essentially have a monopoly on all the power in our country would do what they do to protect Benjamin Netanyahu. Like that's not surprising. I just think it's admirable that Mamdani sees it as his job to express, where he stands morally. And some people might say, "Oh, this is just attention seeking," or it's just a troll or whatever on his part because he can't actually get the NYPD or the feds or somebody like that to arrest this guy. But I do think it's important to state clearly where you stand and to bring attention to, the atrocities that have been committed under this guy's rule. Like we're talking about tens of thousands of children murdered under this guy's rule. Like, just let that sink in. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think it's great that he would give a public microphone to those atrocities, to what many people are calling a genocide. And so, I'm not surprised that Trump would step in like this. I mean, think about it, bro. Like he got hundreds of millions of dollars from pro-Israeli, interests that backed his campaign for president. Like allegedly he's pardoning people for like $2 million a pop. Like the idea that he wouldn't use his office to protect his boy, Benjamin Netanyahu, is like, come on, of course, that's in line with everything he's done. All of the corruption, it's an imperfect symmetry.
Mhm. Yeah, and the fact that they're dogging people like Zohran Mamdani about this, and even Abdullah al-Sayed, okay? Like these are not people in the executive branch. This is, especially in Mamdani's case, he is the mayor of a city. And he seems to also understand that it might be difficult for him as a mayor to get this done. He said that he's exploring his options, but he said, yeah, like this is above me. This is from the ICC. This is an international criminal court. And the ICC happened later, but they're in The Hague. Like, what is the imagery that comes from that? Those are the people who prosecuted the Nazis, during the Nuremberg trials. So it's really just like that is what the United States government, the Republicans and Democrats at this point, John Fetterman is John Fetterman, but there are other Democrats who feel this way. They're saying, The Hague is a sham. The ICC is a sham. We don't recognize that authority, blah, 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 because they want to so much be in line with Benjamin Netanyahu. And we are in line with them, okay? Like all of our money is doing the things that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. He's able to do what he's doing because of all of our money, because of all of our weaponry, because we are enabling him, okay? He has the backing of the largest country in the world, like one of the most powerful countries in the world, not the largest. And he knows that, right? So he can just do whatever he wants. And if he's incriminated, then we all are incriminated, and they can't let that happen, unfortunately. I did want to get to one of your comments real quick before we break for the bonus episode. Socrates Bartender said, did Yaz just do a Hamilton adjacent joke, or is that just in all of our brains now? I don't remember doing a Hamilton adjacent joke. I don't know what I said. It could have been anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if I did, because yeah, it is just like all in your head. Like, I don't know what I like. Was it in the room where it happened? Gotta let it burn. I don't know. No, that's Usher. That was the Usher burn. That's great. Sorry, it's the wrong burn. So let's check a few more of your comments before we go, because I didn't get a lot of time to read them during the break. Dusty G 21323 says, we have yet to dictate the terms in Iran, though, bro. We don't even have CIA Greyhounds on ground there yet. They're still bombing and talking. Nothing is happening. Gas is down. I don't know. Is gas down because it's going back up, right? So Donald Trump, he said, sometime he was confronted about the affordability crisis on camera, and he said, yeah, you know what? Prices might go back up because I'm going to continue to do things in the Middle East and the prices are going to go up and people are going to have to deal with that. And he said that in response to a question about the affordability crisis, okay? So right now the gas prices are going back up. And I was on the damage report this morning and it showed there was a direct negative correlation between the prices of gas going up even by just like 10 cents and less approval for whatever party or president is in office at the time. So gas prices are very, very fickle, both economically, but also politically. And the Republican Party should be very wary of that. But Donald Trump really seems to not be bothered about any of that right now. GMAC 8852 says a lot of civilians and military have been killed and injured because of this nonsense. Unfortunately, many more will be killed and injured. And yeah, especially if there's no accountability anywhere. Okay, he's been wanted by Netanyahu, has been wanted by the ICC for a very long time, since 2024, and it doesn't sound like a very long time on the surface. But when you consider, as was mentioned, tens of thousands of children and adults are being killed indiscriminately. There is history being destroyed. There's land that is being destroyed and bombed. It's devastating. So every day that this continues, every single day that this goes on, it is devastating for those people over there. All of the money that is being spent, all of our money that could be so much better spent doing literally anything else besides destroying things. It's a waste. It's all just a complete waste. And it's crazy to think that this has been going on since 2024. And we still haven't been able to get a handle on it. In fact, we just continue to enable it. And this is from Joe Biden into Donald Trump, so it's both parties are complicit in this. And at the time, even when the Democrats were in power, we were still speaking out against this, okay? So it's not like this is a Republican only issue. There are a lot of Democrats that are actively supporting this. And this is why so many of them are getting primaried by other more progressive Democrats. And that is why those progressive Democrats are winning so many of their elections, not localized either. Across the entire country, we are seeing this. And the Democrats really don't like to win elections, it would seem, because if they wanted to win elections and win seats and win power, then they would just let this happen, okay? They would notice that these progressives are actually promising the American people the things that they want to hear. Hopefully they'll follow through, okay? We can only know that once these people actually get into office and we can see what kind of leaders they actually are. But these are people who are actually speaking to the American people. Meanwhile, the conservative Democrats, as we now call them, the establishment Democrats, they are busy just trying to run interference. I would really rather if they just actually governed and did their jobs instead of trying to fight other Democrats right now. The progressives, though, we do have to fight. We've been having to fight. We've had to fight to have our voice heard. We've had to fight on behalf of the American people so that people are actually being represented in our representative democracy of a government, okay? Like that was the whole point of all this. And it's finally happening. And the people that we're having to struggle against the most are other Democrats. And unfortunately, I would like to say that this is surprising, but it is not. We knew that this was gonna happen. We knew that we were gonna have to fight the establishment Dems who are in Congress, people like Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker. But we also know that we were gonna have to fight people like Jake Tapper, and the mainstream everyday media that regular everyday Americans are consuming. So hopefully we get more people over on networks like this one. And I think that is starting to happen.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.